Today, class, what are we covering?
Circles.
Circles. Why?
Because circles are amazing.
No, because that's how we
Roll.
That's right, that's how we roll, people. Alright, so what we're going to do, what you need to have written down in your journal, you don't have to write it down right now, you should already have it. This is the standard form of the equation of a circle right here. What does the H and the K represent in the circle? Well, that's just the center of the circle, okay? What does R squared represent? That represents the radius being squared. That's right, the radius being squared. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a look at problem number 3. We need to write the equation in standard form. All right? So by the way, what does standard form look like? Once again, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r. That's a horrible r. R squared. All right? So right now, let's put some, we're going to scroll down here, give us a little bit of room. We have an x squared. Then we have a plus y squared. And it was what? Minus 8x. Is it plus 6y or minus 6y? Minus 6y plus 21 equals 0. So that's what we're starting with. Now we need to organize our x's and our y's and get them kind of together in a more organized fashion. So here's what we started yesterday. We said, I want you to lead out with an x squared minus an 8x, and then I'm going to put a little empty square right here. All right? We're going to learn how to complete the square. I'm going to change colors now. Put y squared minus 6y. Put another little place for us to complete the square. And then we're going to take this pesky little positive 21 and chuck him across the equal sign, which makes him a negative 21. So you're going to make it equal to negative 21. And then you're going to put plus an empty box here and another empty little place right there. So get that all done on your paper, nice and neat, and then I'll explain to you what we're going to do next. Okay, we need to review completing the square. So right now, I want you to call this C. I want you to call this C. And once again, this is C and this is lowercase c. Now we're going to review this concept called completing the square. All right, so in completing the square, typically you have a quadratic equation. You have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Now, it's going to be important whenever you're completing the square that your a value needs to be a 1. That's going to be pretty important. The next thing you need to understand is you have a 1x squared, and you have a value known as b, which is the number that's directly in front of the x, and you want to have a perfect square that's being completed. You need to understand the c value will always be whatever the b value is divided by 2 squared. So this will always become b squared over 4. All right? Like, what the heck did you do? What's b times b? b times b is b squared. 2 times 2 is 4. Now, this would factor to x plus b over 2 times x plus b over 2. Also known as its alias, x plus b over 2 in parentheses squared. Now, this may not make a whole lot of sense just yet because we have not used any numbers. Let's put some numbers here. There we go. I'm going to put an x. It's just, by the way, this is just an example. Okay, just an example. I'm going to put plus 10x plus, I'm going to open up a box right here. We're going to find the c value. So right now, what's our b value in this example problem? A 10. So what am I going to do with that 10? I'm going to take half of it. And then I'm going to do what with it? I'm going to square it. Well, what's half of 10? 5. And what is 5 squared? There you go. Just put 25 and you just completed the square. So what would this end up being factored to if I wanted to factor it? That would be x plus 5 being squared. So this right here, when you complete the square, you have a what's called a perfect square trinomial, which factors to This right here. This is what we're going to be trying to do on our problem. So now that you have that down in your journal, all these sums, we're going to go back up here. And we're going to take a look at our b-values. What's our b-value right there? -8. What's half of -8? -4. What's -4 times -4? Put a 16 right here, put a 16 right there. Because what did we do with this? We took half of it and we squared it. That's right. We took half of it and we squared it, and that's how we got the 16. So what are we going to do with this -6? We're going to take half of it and we're going to square it. So what's half of -6? -3. What's -3 squared? All right. So I'm going to highlight some things that we need to factor, okay? So we need to factor this over. We need to factor this guy right here. And this guy right here. So we're going to do it right up here. So you guys can see it happen. Right before your very eyes. What does this factor to? Go ahead, Austin, tell us. What does that factor to? Go. That's right. X minus 4 squared. Because -4 plus -4 is -8. And -4 times -4 is +16. And then, ooh, Donovan, what does this factor to? That's right, y minus 3 squared. Very good. Because -3 plus -3 is -6, and -3 times -3 is +9. Now, Mr. What is this? Plus this. Plus this. Ooh, hold on. What's 16 plus 9? That's 25. What's 25? That's 21. I'll give you a hint. We're on a golf course and you hear me say it, duck. Yes, 4. Spelled different. Sounds the same. They're homonyms. So that plus that is a 4. So let's take a look at our standard equation. We have an x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. And what is that equal to, everybody? That's equal to an r squared. So what does h and k give us? It gives us our center. So you're saying our center is a 4 and a 3. You are correct. It is a 4 and a 3 because the equation says x minus h. And it says y minus k. So you can clearly see that your h value is a 4 and your k value is a 3. Now, if that doesn't make sense to you, here's another way you can think about it as a student. You could say, where do we typically start graphing from whenever we graph something? We typically start at the origin. And what's the origin? Where is the origin? The origin is at 0, 0. So what number minus 4 would get you back to 0? What number? 4. And what number minus 3 would get you back to 0? A positive 3. That's another way to think about it. All right, so everybody, we are going to plot 4, 3. A 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, half a 3. Now, this is where students, if they make a mistake, this is where they'll make a mistake. The radius. Because the radius is not 4. The radius is actually, the radius is 2. Because r squared is 4. So your radius has to be 2. So from here, go over 2, put a point. From the center, go over 2, put a point. Go up 2, put a point. Go down 2, put a point. If you have a compass, great. Use it. If you don't have a compass, what do I want you to do? Quadrant by quadrant, just try to make a nice, even arc to the best of your ability. But if you have the ability to draw a nice, beautiful circle, well, you know what? Just go ahead and do it. So there's your circle right there, drawn perfectly on the paper. What's your equation that you should have for problem 3? What's your equation? I'll put a little box around it right here. This is your equation. That's your standard equation for the circle, which identifies the center for 3 and the radius, which is a 2. All right, everybody, number 4. You're going to take a look at this. All right, and I need some help here. I know it's a 4x squared plus a 4y squared, but then what do we have? Ooh, plus 16x, good. minus 8y, good, minus 5, equals 0. So the first thing I like to do is I like to get all of my x's together. Well, mathematically speaking, I would not want to get all of my x's together. Well, there's not that many, but, you know, that'd be awkward. So 4x squared plus 16x, put plus an empty box. And then I'm going to do plus 4y squared minus 8y plus an empty box. And what am I going to do with that pesky little negative 5, everybody?
Throw it away.
Just throw it. Yeah. What does that become?
Plus 5.
That's right. I realize technically, yes, you're supposed to add 5 to both sides, okay? But I like to throw things across. Makes me happy. Here we go. So now, somebody said, could you do this? Could we do what to start out the problem? Divide everything by 4. I would. Let's do it. Divide, 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 divide. Everything by a 4. Let's get that done. So, if we do that, we have an x squared plus a 4x plus, I'm going to put a little blank space right here. That's going to be our c value. We're going to put plus y squared minus 2y plus, little box right here, that's going to be our c value. And then I'm going to say equals, I'm going to put this as 5 over 4, but don't forget, we have to, whatever we do to one side, we got to do to the other side. Okay, so there we go. Now we are ready to do what? What's the concept that we did? I'm not going to do the whole thing as far as the notes. What do you have to do? Complete. I'm going to put complete the, and I'm just going to make a cute little square. We're going to complete the square. So, this is your b value right here. This is your b value right there. So, what's half of 4? What's 2 squared? Put 4 there. Put 4 there. What's half of negative 2? Negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 1. 1. Put 1 there. Put 1 there. Okay, and then we're going to want to check all of theirs. Okay, going to take all those and add them together. Okay? So, everybody, you got to get this factored. Yeah. X plus 2 squared. Why? Because 2 plus 2 is 4 and 2 times 2 is 4. Plus. Back to that. Why might be? Are you saying y minus 1? Is that what you're saying? Because you're right. It is y minus 1. Because negative 1 plus negative 1 is negative 2. And negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Now, some of you, I know, you're going to add it in the calculator together, and it's going to spit out 6.25, but I prefer 25 over 4. I hear you giggling back there. You had a 6.25, didn't you? No, not yet. Okay. Because this is 1.25. Okay. This is a 4, and that's a 1. When you add them all together, you get a 6.25. But I prefer 25 over 4. By the way, everybody, feel free. That right there is your answer for the standard equation of the circle. All right, everybody. We now have the center of our circle, which is the HK value. No, what number plus 2 gets us equal to 0? Negative 2. And what number minus 1 would get us back to 0? 1. Okay. And ooh, what is this guy actually equal to? That's r squared. So if r squared equals 25 over 4, did anybody see that these guys, 25 is a perfect square, and 4 is a perfect square? That's why I wanted to change it to what? 25 over a because the square root of 25 is 5, and the square root of 4 is 2. So what's our actual radius equal to? 2 and a half. Because 5 over 2 is 2 and a half, which helps us be able to plot our circle. So now let's go over and plot our circle. Here we go. -2 and a 1. -2, 1. Put a point right there. Now, from that point, what do we have to go over in all directions? 2 and a half. So 2 and a half. Put a point. 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 And then, if you wanted to, if you had a compass, yes, you could take that compass, put that right there, stretch that guy to that point right there, and just go like that. And you make a nice, beautiful circle. All right? You are getting very, very sleepy. Just kidding. All right, everybody, take a deep breath because we're about to do some awesomeness right here using this equation. All right? So right now, I'm going to take a look at it. I'm going to highlight this ordered pair in blue. I'm going to highlight this ordered pair in red and this ordered pair in green. There's a reason. Just bear with me. I'm going to call this my x value and that my y value. This is my x value and my y value. This is my x value and my y value. Now, everybody, it's very important that you write down in your journal number 5, step by step, so you'll have a clue of what to do. Okay, here we go. Wherever you see an X, you plug in the blue X. Wherever you see a Y, you plug in the blue Y. You'll see the pattern. You will see the pattern. You will see the pattern. See that -3? Where did I plug it in? I plugged it in everywhere I saw an X. See that -2? I plugged it in everywhere I saw a Y. So what is this? Oh, sorry. So what is -3 times -3? Positive 9. What's -2 times -2? Positive 4. What does that become? Positive 13. What's D times -3? Negative 3D. And E times -2 is negative 2E plus F equals 0. Now, if I take this 13 right here and I just throw him across, here is your first, not 1, not 2, but 3 variable equation. Your first 3 variable equation is -3D minus 2E plus 1F equals -13. Put that right there and hold on to it because we're going to come back to that. We need that. All right, we're going red. X squared plus y squared plus dx plus ex plus f equals 0. Oh, it is ey. Not eor, but it is ey. Now, we're going to take all of our x values that are in red and plug them in for x, and all the y values that are red and plug them in for y. So now we're going to do -2 squared plus -3 squared plus e times -2 plus e times -3 plus f equals 0. Once again, we luck out. That actually becomes a positive 13. That's a negative 2d. That's a negative 3e. That's a 1f. And it equals 0. And when I take this 13 and do the exact same thing, put it over here, what does that become? It becomes a negative 13, just like this, becomes a negative 13, because we cast it across the equal sign. So our second equation is this. Our second three-variable equation is this. Put that one in the mix. So here's our first one. Here's our second one. And last but not least, we're going to take all of our greens up here. We're going to plug them in. So everywhere we see an X, we're going to plug in a negative 4. Everywhere you see a Y, we're going to plug in a negative 3. So here we go. Everywhere you see an X, you plug in a negative 4. Everywhere you see a Y, you plug in a negative 3. That becomes a 16, that becomes a 9, together they become a 25. This becomes minus 4D, this becomes minus 3E, this becomes 1 positive F, and it equals 0, and last but not least, I'm going to take the 25 once again, throw him across, and make him a negative 25. So here's your final equation. Don't gouge your eyes out just yet. You might need them later. There you go. So I'm going to scroll down and see if you should have, there's your second, there's your third, you probably should have your first. Alright everybody, it's time for us to build a matrix. So right now, I want you guys to build a 3 by 3 matrix called matrix A. And can you guys see up here where it has a negative 3, a negative 2, and a 1F? You're going to write in blue, negative 3, negative 2, and a 1. That's your first row. The second row, you're going to write a negative 2, a negative 3, and a 1. Negative 2, negative 3, and that's a 1F. And in the final third row, you're going to write negative 4, negative 3, and a 1. So I have built a 3 by 3 matrix. I want you to understand that matrix A times a matrix known as X will give us our D value, our E value, and our value for F. So when I take matrix A and I multiply it to matrix X, that should equal our final 3 by 1 matrix, which has 3 numbers, negative 13, negative 13, and negative 25. And we're going to call this matrix B. So, it's been a while since you've done matrices, but matrix A times matrix X will give us matrix B. So if we want to figure out what the heck X is, this is where you have to apply what's called the inverse of this matrix to both sides of the equation. I had a hard time putting a negative 1 in there. Put a 1, and then I'll put a minus. There we go. So matrix X is going to be the inverse of A times B. This is probably the fastest way to be able to solve 3 variable equations. Make the inverse of matrix A times B will always give you your answers, which in this particular case is D, E, and F. Those are our 3 variables that we're solving for. So if you would please, turn on your graphing calculators. Turn on your graphing calculator. And what I need you guys to do is hit second, X to the negative 1. Go to the right where it says edit and make it a 3 by 3. So press enter and make it a 3 by 3. And I've already typed in all the numbers. So these are all the correct numbers already typed in. So if you would please, go ahead and type type in those numbers. Yes, sir. I'm going to go back to the original screen, second mode. So let's say you're right here. Here's how you get to it. You hit second, x to the negative 1, to the blue word matrix. You go to the right where it says edit. You press enter, and you're going to make a 3 by 3 matrix. So you just type in -3, enter, -2, enter, 1, enter. It goes row by row by row until you get all those numbers. The second one is -2, enter. Oh, the next matrix you mean? Is that what you're talking about? Okay, I'll show you. So now that you have that filled in, what you have to do is you have to hit second matrix once again. You're going to go to the right where it says edit, but this time you're going to go down to B. So once you go down to B and you press enter, you're going to make it a 3 by 1. And then you type in -13, -13, -25. So you got to make it a 3 by 1. Okay, so now that you guys have matrix A and matrix B typed in correctly, you go back to your original screen. It's second mode. Go back to your original screen. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit second x to the -1, which gives me my matrix. I'm going to select A. Remember what I told you guys? I said it needs to be matrix A to the power of -1, which ironically is right there underneath the word matrix. Which means that's the inverse of A times what we have to select? B. So you hit second x to the -1, and you go down to number 2. Press enter. And then the magic happens. Now some of you are like, whoop-de-doo. Well, guess what? That's D. That's E. And that is F. So if it's x squared plus y squared plus dx plus EY plus F equals 0, what are the numbers that we now have so we can find our circle? What is D? 6. What is E? 6. What is F? 17. And now, what does this problem right here look like? It looks like a problem that we had on our front page. So I'm going to set it up. X squared plus 6x plus, I'm opening up a little square, plus y squared plus 6y. I'm opening up a little square. And I'm setting it equal to, what am I going to do with that 17? I'm going to move it across, make it a -17, and put a couple of boxes just right here. Half of 6 is 3. 3 squared is 9. Ironically, this is the same. Half of 6 is 3. 3 squared is 9. That factors 2. X plus 3 squared. This factors 2. Y plus 3 squared. And -17 plus an 18 gives me a 1. By the way, what is that? That is our standard equation for our circle. What would the center be? -3, -3. And what would our radius be equal to? You're right, radical 1, which is just 1. Because if this is r squared, the square root of 1 is simply just a 1. So if I wanted to, could I plot that and make my circle? Sure. It has a center at -3, -3. It has a radius of 1. Okay? So, tomorrow you know what we're going to do. We're going to do the same process. I'll leave it right there. Y'all have a good day.